Hi there. In a world where nothing is certain, that means anything is possible, right? If you want to fulfill your dreams and desires, you are in the right place. You absolutely can have a life of happiness. Everyone deserves an abundance of love, laughter, success, health, and wealth. I'm Tara Chadzakis, and you're listening to the Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast. The show that brings you meditation, mindset, and motivation. So start by giving yourself permission to be awesome. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Happy, Inspired, Motivated. Today, I am joined by Melissa Kirk, who lives in California. Melissa is really a holistic coach. She helps her clients with their readings, so their readings of their palms. She helps them with the reading and understanding their human design, which is another element she uses. She does theta healing too. And through her work with her clients, she gets to the real root of the problem, the real issues that her clients are coming up against that they don't perhaps even realize that they're going through. And after working with Melissa, she opens them up to really finding their purpose and their passions. And that can be translated by improvement in their business, their relationships, improvement in their health. And she even helps them things like purchasing their dream home, because she gets them really clear on everything that they really want in their life. So looking at the root issues that's going on, they can turn things around to match their dreams, goals, and aspirations. So let me introduce Melissa to you and learn some more about human design and really getting to look at the problems and the issues that people face and how often we don't even realize that we're going through these things. So hi, Melissa, and welcome to Happy, Inspired, Motivated. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Thanks for asking.
Whereabouts are you based in the US?
I live in California, about 50 miles east of San Francisco.
Oh, nice. That sounds like a really beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
Is the summer hot over there at the moment still?
Yes. So it's kind of the end of the summer, and I live a little bit away from the coast. So summer is a little bit longer here. We usually go to have weather in the 80s, at least through October. So, And then it starts to get cold. Yeah.
When you say cold, I don't think you probably mean the same as UK cold, but I mean, it's a bit
Probably
cooler
not.
than the summer.
Yeah.
Good. So tell my listeners a little bit about yourself. How did you become Melissa Kirk that you are today?
I was in a 20-year relationship, and it was pretty dysfunctional. I had 3 kids. I met my ex in college, and then went on a pretty rough journey for about 20 years with him. And I just never really had, I guess, the courage to leave. And when I finally did, it was like I had to start from scratch. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. I had to reinvent my career. Had been a stay-at-home mom, but I had a lot of trauma and a lot of baggage and things to heal. And so I went on this healing journey, and along the way, I adapted to modalities that I then learned how to do myself and deliver to my clients. So part of it was healing the physical body. The stress of the relationship, I think, caused me a lot of physical problems. So I had a lot of health crisis. Started doing that healing work, and then standing in my own power, standing in my own gifts. I really didn't know what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be when I grew up, and so
that was a lot like my story, actually.
So I started with I got my hands read. I kept getting these emails about this Life Purpose Summit, and I didn't even know what it was. I didn't realize the lady was a hand reader.
Yeah.
But I just was really, I've been calling them, just going to trust and go.
Yeah.
And it was so enlightening. I got my hands read, and in the fingerprint patterns of your hands, they don't change. It's been proven by science that those don't change. So that's where your life purpose lies. And that's where your life lesson, the repeating patterns that you have, the
Sorry, do
block.
you mean they don't change through the centuries or through this lifetime?
Through this lifetime. I mean,
Okay.
that's what your soul came here to do. It's like, so even when you work on all that stuff, you start to understand what blocks you and what keeps you stuck.
Wow.
It continues like through your lifetime. Even now that I'm aware of it, it can still come up for me, right?
Yeah.
So at the time, I was doing massage therapy, and I was realizing how I was knowing that there were things wrong with my clients that I would tell them, I think you should go get your liver checked, or your kidneys are struggling, or something like that. And, they'd go to the doctor, and the doctor would say, oh, you're fine. And I'm like, well, you're having these symptoms. You're not fine.
Yeah.
So I started to try to figure out, like, well, I need to learn how to treat these things then. So I did a lot of health study and things like that. I did mindset work. So I worked with theta healing, which is, it's similar to hypnosis and NLP. It's working with the theta brainwave.
Yeah.
But what it is when you get into the theta brainwave is when you're most open to change. And that's where you can rewire the brain to be more empowered into the areas that you want to create it. So I did that. And then I also started learning about human design. And it's interesting because, you look at your astrology, you look at your human design, you look at your hand analysis, and they all say things in a different way, but they all are congruent. Like, it's amazing how much they sync up and how accurate it is. So for me, what I learned was, in all of my charts, it is about my verbal communication and my way of expressing information that's easy to understand. And I could never figure out, like, why I wasn't feeling fulfilled by the massage. But here I am in a dark room all day with one person, and I'm not supposed to talk. And I have my makeup is to speak in front of an audience and articulate a verbal message. Well, that's a little bit of a mismatch.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So anyways, that kind of, that got me to the journey of where I'm helping my clients become more of who they are, aligning with their purpose, getting out of their own way, changing their mindset, and just helping them, once you have your map for success, which is in all these different modalities, aligning with it's another whole thing. And that's what I like helping my clients with.
So how do you help?
How I got here.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I have to say, my similar-ish story. I met my ex-husband in college as well, and we were together just over 20 years. So yeah, I do know that feeling when you leave, not knowing who you are and having to rebuild your confidence and your inner soul, because you leave it's like barren, isn't it? It's like a thumbnail of who you were before. It can be quite scary and you don't really know what to do. So it does take a lot of healing. I understand. Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah. So how are you helping your clients to find that alignment? What kind of so you're using all these things together. You're using the palms and the theta healing and all of these things with your clients when you work with them, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how does that translate to them to having changes in their lives?
Well, most people I have found working with business owners, they've set their business up to really exploit their challenges. Instead of spending 80% of their time doing what they're really good at, they spin their wheels trying to make up gaps and try to fix things that are really not it's not their genius. So I really help them to learn how to hire people better. Like for the example of, for me, I went to college and have a business degree, and I took all the accounting stuff and everything, but I'll look at my books and I'll be 4 months behind. And then, it's like, it takes me 2 hours of work will take me 3 days to do, because I just am like, I get distracted, go do laundry. I'd rather clean my house, and I just thought, okay, just because I can do this doesn't mean I should be doing it. And I could pay someone 2 hours instead of wasting 3 days avoiding. And that's what people do. They try to be the detail manager when they're a big picture person, and then they don't want to delegate when if you're a leader and a manager, you have to delegate. You can't do everything. And, and then they get caught up in, well, no one does it right, and no one will do it as well as I do, or all that stuff.
Yeah.
But when I start to show them the cost that's bringing to the table, and the time that they, so helping with that. And what's so fun is when you give someone permission to be them, and like the relief that comes over them, and they get excited, right? Because we don't give ourselves permission to be us. We think we have to do all these things.
Yeah.
And what I'm really teaching people is not to do anything they don't want to do. There's always someone else that can fill that gap if it's not your genius. And you make way more money in your genius than spinning your wheels in things that you're not good at and don't like. So that's a lot of it. Some of that is in the chart, and then digging down into just finding out where they're doing things that they don't like to do, and figuring out how to take that off their plate.
When you're talking about charts, what do you mean by your chart?
So the human design is based on your birth information. Similarly to astrology, it has an astrology component to it, but the chart is different. But the chart is kind of like, it's the same thing. Like if I looked at your strength finders or your wealth dynamics or your disc, and you get a chart, or you get a readout of where is your strengths and where are your weaknesses, where do you need help? It's the same thing. The difference is that this is coming in from when your soul took its first breath on this earth, and it's how you're naturally designed. Because what happens is, I'm a psychology major too. I had a business degree and a psychology degree. We had to take all these tests where you answer questions. Well, that assumes that you know who you are, which most of the people I'm helping don't know what that's what they're looking for, right? And you can take the test 20 times and get different results just based on, how you answer the questions. This gives you your birth formula. This gives you so for instance, when we were talking about how when you left your marriage, like you end up with no confidence, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you're lost. So when I went and had my hands read, and they said, you're built for an audience where you're one to many, and you're giving this verbal communication that's easy to understand. Okay, well, at that moment, I felt like a worthless POS, right? I didn't see any value. I had no confidence. I would have never figured out, oh, you're supposed to be up on stage. I was horrified when I found that out. And so I did the work, the personal work, to be able to deliver that and be up on stage and align with it. Whereas if I wouldn't have had that information, but my astrology chart and my human design chart also say similar things to that. So like, in astrology, Mercury is about communication, right? Well, Mercury is in the area of my chart that's in business. So my business needs to be about communication. So that's when I say the congruency. It's like, they all say basically the same thing in a different way. But I would have never come to that conclusion because I had no self-confidence. I thought I didn't have any value to add to anyone. Wasn't in a good space. So without all that information, I probably wouldn't have known that.
And you wouldn't have stepped into your purpose, would you? No,
I wouldn't have even known what it was, because that was so horrifying to me when I found out. I was, oh, yeah, sure, I'm supposed to be on stage. I don't want anyone looking at me because, so that's when I say aligning with it. Is like understanding that blueprint.
Is the human design one is that the one that has generators? And
yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sure I did that at one point online, and I think I was a generator. There are 4, is it 4 different ones?
There's 5 different ones,
5 ones. What are the different ones?
So there's a manifester. There's a generator, a manifesting generator, a projector, and a reflector.
Yes, I'm sure I was a generator. So I can't remember what it is. So what's a generator? See if it sounds like me. What does a generator?
In a generator chart, you have the sacral area. There's a red box in the sacral center that's like this battery pack. And it's an unstoppable life force energy. So like you might notice as a generator that most people can't keep up with you because you just have this energy field that the other types, there's two generator types. One's a generator and one's a manifesting generator.
Mm.
And they're the energy types. They're the ones that are the worker bees and get things done.
Yeah.
And they make up 70% of the population. It's about half and half. But then the other ones are here to initiate, to guide, and, correct. And then also just to let you know how we're doing. So all the types have a different way that they're supposed to operate, and we get conditioned out of it.
Yeah.
Like if you're a generator, most people are kind of conditioned to be a generator. But if you're not a generator and you're raised by generators, you get way out of alignment and you can never keep up. You're exhausted. You feel like you're not listened to, or, so really understanding naturally how you're designed to operate in the world. And for a generator, they have this magnetizing aura that brings opportunities to them, and they're designed to respond to that. So they're not really designed to go out and make things happen in a sense of initiating. They're designed to bring the opportunity to them and then decipher through what I like, what I don't like, what's a match for me, what I have energy for before you commit to a project. That's kind of a little bit of a synopsis.
So that's like me being, I don't know if you have in the States, we have a battery called Duracell. We have it's called a Duracell bunny that keeps going all the time. Yes. So that's obviously me. I'm the Duracell bunny, but I'm also really lazy and I wait for opportunities to come to me.
But that's not lazy. You're just waiting. I mean, when you're waiting for the opportunities to come to you, you're not just sitting around doing nothing. I'm sure as a generator, you always have something to do.
I do actually. Yeah, I am always busy doing something.
Yeah. Generators are.
I have a lot of energy. Yeah, I do. And I suppose people do struggle to keep up at times.
Yeah.
I don't know how to stop, but yeah, that's obviously my blueprint.
That's how that battery pack works. It has an on button, but it doesn't have an off button. So basically, when the battery runs out, you go to bed and then you get back up and do it all again.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like me. Yeah, exactly like me. So if you're working through the human designs with your clients, so I know you also look at, so this helps them with their businesses, which is, that's the main cause of this, but it also helps them. You've also talking about purchasing their dream home, which I know you said you've just incorporated recently. So does your human design dictate where you live? How do they tie in together as well?
So one of the things, I'm also a law of attraction coach. And what I really work with my clients is, being really clear on what it is that they want in their home. And I'm good at listening. I'm good at understanding what problems that I have to solve with my client. But then also getting them to really believe it can happen. Because especially in this market in the last few years, it's been crazy. Lots of competition, lots of, overbidding, and prices going astronomically more than what but I have a person I was working with recently, and we got really clear on what they wanted, and they really aligned with, thinking that they could have it. Because that's another thing. If you think, oh, well, I'm going to put this offer in and I'm not going to get it, then you're probably not, so keeping people's expectations realistic, but also with a positive mindset, and teaching them how to think about it and how to be clear. And we don't waste a lot of time, because I'm really looking for all the must-haves, and I'm not going to waste times with things that don't fit the box.
Yeah.
And so then when you get really clear, then you just have a few selections. I think that when you open it up to every possibility, you dilute the manifestation of what you're trying to create.
Yeah.
And so that's really what I work on with my clients is, being really clear, and then moving forward quickly. You have to take fast action right now.
Yeah.
You can't just go like, oh, well, that one's nice. Let's see what else is out there, and wait for, 5 days, because it'll be gone. So that's but it's hard to make decisions like that when you're not clear. So I do a lot of work on the front end, and really, I feel like it's been a really good process that brought a lot of success for my clients to get the home that they were really interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's through all my coaching techniques and the, information
Yeah.
from that I help them with. So, yeah.
So you work holistically on the whole life, don't you? Because you work with
Yes.
their health, their
Mhm.
mindset, their business, probably their relationships, and also
Yeah.
their home.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you can't separate those things. If you've got a spouse that's dying at home and you don't think that that has any impact on your business, you're crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of times what happens is people come to me because they have this certain problem, and I end up fixing three other problems that are seemingly unrelated, that then the result of it is to fix the problem they came to me for.
Yeah.
So it's really about getting to the root problem. It's about, identifying what that is, because when you're in a bad place, you don't have clarity of what really needs to change. And, even if like my mindset is really not in the way that in a healthy place, that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you know how to change it, right?
No, of course, yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm really good at, listening to what's going on and then getting underneath and going down the rabbit hole to really what the problem is
Mm.
and fixing it from there, which then has a snowball effect into everything.
Well, you can say you have an issue with something in your mindset, but you don't necessarily know what
What the
part of your
issue
mind,
is.
yeah, what the
Yeah,
issue is, or what the actual mindset is, if that makes sense.
right.
I don't want to. I don't feel like showing up or in my business, but you don't understand why. You don't
Why? Mhm.
exactly, and it's looking back at that, isn't it? So that's really
Well,
powerful work.
yeah, and like I think about it when I'm working with someone, let's say on losing weight or something. You know, when you are working on that problem, it's not about confinement and restriction. When you start changing the way you think about it and when you start healing, because every health issue has an underlying belief system, right?
Yeah,
With weight, it's around protection and safety and things like that. So when you start dealing with the problem, that's the root of where it's coming from,
yeah,
it's not about saying like, well, you can't have donuts anymore. It's like the salad actually sounds good. Where before, when you're in a bad state, you're wanting all the comfort food and the fried food and stuff that's not healthy for you. But the willpower gives up. And that's why people then just go back to gaining weight, because they haven't dealt with what is disturbed in their wounds and in their history that's creating the desire to not be healthy.
mm.
So so then that works on everything,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, like I really love that you said that. It's not the fact that you're addicted to donuts. It's the fact that it's a safety thing, isn't it? And it
Yeah.
could be that you don't feel looked at or stared at because you've got extra weight and you feel protected by that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think of it like that. They don't approach, for example, weight loss in that aspect.
Yeah.
And that,
And
yeah, that,
when yeah, it's way deeper and more powerful with lasting results, when you get to that bottom thing. And the same thing in relationships, it's so easy to blame the other person for everything, but to understand why you operate the way you do, people don't want to look at it, or they don't even understand why they should look at it.
yeah.
And when you clean up those wounds from childhood, from your parents, from experiences,
Mm.
you get a new perspective. And I really help people look at things in a different way that they hadn't thought about.
Yeah. And like I said, that opens up, that makes massive changes in your business and your life and the way you show up as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's all from one thing that you say, like you say, it's seemingly
Seemingly
unrelated.
unrelated. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
even, yeah.
No, I mean,
I
that's,
had a I had a woman come to me one time for business coaching, and for the first 2 months, all we worked on was her issue with her adult son that was living in her house that she had really bad boundaries with.
hmm,
And after, the couple of months when we were working together, she said, "When are we going to work on my business? I came to you to work on my business for business coaching." And I said, "Well, how much money are you making?" And she had like tripled, almost quadrupled her income.
Mm.
And we hadn't even started on, her quote unquote business. And I said, because we're dealing with what the problem was, it wasn't your business.
Yeah.
It was the distraction of this relationship that every day you're at work, half your energy is going to the frustration of that. It's like a cloud that follows you. So as soon as we started clearing that stuff up, she was present in her business and productive. She already knew how to do her business.
Yeah.
And then we set up strategies to make it even more. But that it's getting to the root cause. It's getting to what the problem really is rather than just putting a Band-Aid on it.
I love that. It's just like you say, it's people, so people don't necessarily know what the issue is. They think it's like a business related thing, but it's not. It's something completely different, and they don't want to maybe address that or admit there's an issue going on. And like you say, it's not looking at the cause, it's looking at the symptoms, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And putting that Band-Aid on is not going to help.
No. Well, I mean, and that's what a lot of our medical is now. Like when I told you, I would tell my clients, there's something wrong with this. If a doctor can prescribe a medication for it, the symptoms, but that just manages whatever the problem is. It's not changing it. And so I really like to find the change and the cause and make the change on a DNA level, on a deep rooted level that, just it impacts everything.
And health issues can also be related to mindsets and blockages that you have energetically. It's not necessarily something that you've caused in your body. It's a manifestation because of the blocked energy that's not flowing properly and being released, is it?
Yeah. And also looking at belief systems. Every disease is caused by a particular way of looking at the world. And so when you stop, I remember at one time I got really sick and I was having adrenal fatigue. And I started looking up what the belief systems were around adrenals. And one of the biggest thing is knowing how to have fun. Well, I had been working like 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when you say the word fun, I was like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
And so look at it. It's a direct correlation to exactly what my health problem was. So
people could have just said you were overworking, couldn't they?
Yeah.
People probably thought you were just working too hard, but it was, you weren't.
It was no fun is what it was.
Yeah.
It was both, but yeah.
Amazing.
So I love all that stuff. It's fun when someone gets an awareness and then you start seeing their stuff shift and getting the results they're looking for. So
I think that's the thing when people come to coaches, they think, oh, I need help with this, but it's not necessarily what they actually need help with. And they have to be willing to open up to explore what could be going on or what the actual root cause of the problem is. And that can be quite difficult when they first arrive and they're like, oh, no, I won't like that woman. I want to talk about my business now. Well, it wasn't anything that was business related anyway. You know how to do that bit. It's the background stuff that we need to work on so you can open up and allow more in your business.
Yeah.
That's lovely. That's wonderful. So Melissa, how can my listeners get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what you do? I presume you work internationally.
Oh yeah. Most of the stuff I do, I can do, remotely. So, well, I do have a website. It's melissakirk.com. And I have been working on it. So maybe if it isn't up at the moment when you go check it, it will be. But there's a place on there for you to reach out to me. And a lot of times I do a discovery call with people just to see, where they are and what their problem is, how I can help them. Some of my services are on there that I do readings and things like that you can sign up for on there, but you'll get a lot of information about what I do. And then if I'm having upcoming classes and things like that, they'll be posted on there.
So what kind of readings do you do? Is it like cards?
No.
Oh.
So, I do actually do card readings. It's not on my website, but no, I was talking about doing the hand analysis. It's called scientific hand analysis, or a human design reading, or an astrology reading. So just like when we were talking about, that you were a generator. but really, what does that mean? You see this colorful chart with all these
Yeah.
lines and stuff. And so I do an interpretation of it and help you to understand what that means.
Okay.
Find what your purpose is, what your genius is, what you're here to do, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool. So they can find you on your website. How about any social media that you like to hang out on the most?
Yeah, I'm usually probably the most active on Facebook. I do have Instagram also. So it's just at Melissa Kirk on Instagram. I think there's a hyphen or an underscore after the Kirk. And then you can always find me on Facebook. It's Melissa Kirk Consulting. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Any lasting words that you can leave with my listener just to sink in as they're closing out?
I just think that if you really want to make changes in your life, you need the clarity. And when you work with somebody, you can get the fast track. We really can't. I get readings myself on things that I do readings for. So I just encourage you to align your life with who you naturally are.
Yeah.
If you have any struggle or anything you don't want to do, don't do it. And figure out what you are here to do and get the guidance from someone besides yourself, because we really can't see who we are the way someone else can see.
Yeah. Powerful. Yeah, I love that. So cool. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. I hope you're going to have a good day, the rest of your day ahead of you, because you're behind me in time. So that's really cool. And thank you for being my guest.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was great talking with you.
Thanks for joining me for another episode of Happy, Inspired, Motivated. One thing I really love about interviewing my guests is there are so many amazing, amazing coaches out there and people who work with entrepreneurs and within businesses, and they really help their clients grow. And it's just amazing to know that we are part of this universe together. And as I've said before in my previous podcast, if you win, I win, and we all win, which, as I said last time, I stole from Lisa Mitchell. Thanks, Lisa. But it's so good to know that all of these people are flourishing and thriving in their business, even during this time when things have been a little bit strange with COVID. People are still growing and making huge impacts in the world and getting such amazing financial gains that you wouldn't even realize that things were going bad or things have been going bad. And it's really eye-opening and inspirational to know that even though you're looking at the circumstances around you and you're looking at the world around you and you're thinking, my God, this is a bit of a shitfest, it actually has been the best years for some of these people in business. And if they can make it, so can you. If they can thrive during these times and really turn their lives around, nothing can stop you. As long as you're committed and you keep going and you promise to yourself that you never give up, and you know deep in your heart that you're destined for so much more than what you've allowed yourself so far. So I want you to remember to never give up hope and to always keep going. And even if things are going downhill at the moment, remember there's always, if there's a down, there's always an up at the other side. And you just have to get through this slump and keep going up. And then your business and your life will absolutely thrive. Sending you lots of love. I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast. I'll be back next week bringing more meditation, mindset, and motivation for your happy and successful life. To find out more about our community, go to tarachatzakis.com/happy, inspired, motivated.